Can see and hear me. Hello and welcome to our open presentation, another presentation of the International News Production Master's Program at the High School of Economics here. So good afternoon, добрый день, ni hao. I hope I used all the languages for the people who came to us from different countries. My name is Oleg Dmitriев. I'm the academic supervisor of the International News Production Program. And with me is one of our teachers, one of our chief practitioners in the new media. Please welcome Vladimir Makadevich.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, and Vladimir is not just the teacher. She is one of the presenters at one of the key Russian news channel called OTR, which is Public Television of the Russian Federation. I hope I pronounced it right. So, just for those who are here for the first time, I'll send you the link to our master's program, and you can really see the curriculum, something that we do. Our ambition is to create an English-speaking environment in the heart of Moscow. So that's a very ambitious plan. That's something which is very ambitious, something that has never done before. But the thing we have behind is the notion that we have accumulated some great experience in Russia regarding new media, regarding international news, regarding new ways of television production that are successful all over the world. So that's why we decided to share with you the basic skills that can be useful for your career. And once again, it's not important for us whether your bachelor's degree is not journalism. We welcome everybody, just from all the specialties. You can be a mathematician, a physician, a physicist, whatever. As long as you have interest in the news, as long as you have interest in the news, in the way it is produced, in the new media, because it turns out to be quite a successful career. And if you have any questions about admissions, about everything, just say them for later. But now I'm turning to Vladimir Makadevich, one of the teachers who really helped us to boost the program to the new level, because Vladimir was in charge of the practical exercises within the program. And the first question I'd like to ask you is, how was it? Just what was special about you? Because, yeah, you've been working with the students from various faculties. What was special about our program?
First of all, I'd like to say that I'm really glad and happy to be part of this program, because this is something that I believe the journalistic community needs, just, growing and helping new specialists in this field and teaching and showing them some new tools that they can use. And for me, why I like this program and why I think this is crucial and what was special for me was that this is a very good point that you brought up, that no matter what your background is, the tools and the information that we give our students can be used as long as you are interested in the news, as long as you are interested in communications field in general. And I think the most special thing for me was my students, because, honestly, because you can see how interested they are, how involved they are in whatever is happening in the world. And I think that this is one of the crucial elements for anyone going into this program. You need to be very, very curious. And this is something that I saw in my students, and I really loved it. I'm a very curious person myself, and this is exactly why I work as a TV journalist. And I really like this quality in people, and I really wish that all of our students had this quality, because this is something that they will need in the future, definitely, if they go into this field.
Yeah. Now, just before we speak about the basics, your personal experience, why did you decide to end up in journalism, in the media?
Well, my personal experience is quite interesting, as I believe. I used to work as a public relations manager, as well, you know it. And it is a very common thing. It is a very common story when people with PR background switch to journalism. Because at some point I realized that, well, I still want to work in communications field. I still want to work with people. I still want to work with the information. But I realized that I want to work with information in a different way. I don't want to be paid by some company for what I do, but rather I want to serve the public, serve the audience. And well, as we all know, this is the basic principle of journalism. You serve the people to whom you deliver the news, to whom you deliver your stories. And it just happened somehow that after 5 years in public relations, I switched to journalism, and I never regretted this decision. So for the last almost 7-8 years, I've been working as a journalist, as a TV journalist, and I have experience both in Russia and in the United States, which I think is great because I was able to see, you know, different approaches and different perspectives. And this is really great when you can broaden your life experience and your professional experience. So this is my story. It just happened accidentally, and I'm really happy about it.
Yeah, one more question about the program. So the basic feature of the international news production is that we do not teach English. We teach in English. How was that to teach students in English? Because this is not a language lesson. These are classes in the media in English. So English is just a means of communication. How was it?
Well, honestly, I can say that sometimes it was challenging. I'm a good instructor. I do my part of the job. I always prepare for the classes, so I know what I'm going to be talking about, right? And well, my English is quite fluent, but even I was sometimes struggling with finding the right word for what I wanted to say. But again, thanks to my students, they sometimes helped me, and just they were the ones who who were finding the right word for what I wanted to say. But it's challenging, I think, both for students and for instructors. But at the same time, it's great, again, because your mind is working in a little bit different direction, not the way that it usually does it, right? So you need to stay super focused on what you're doing. And I believe that English is, even if you work in non-English speaking country, English is very important because honestly, from my personal experience, I have some of my colleagues who do not speak English, and I'm always curious, okay, so how then can you double check the information? How do you do your fact checking? Because when you know English, you can broaden your base of knowledge, you can broaden the amount of sources that you are working with. So I believe that, well, today in 2021, you cannot work in the field of journalism without English language, without knowing English.
Yeah. So another basic skill is the storytelling techniques, because when I look at the students, and most of them, be it bachelors, be it masters, they're kind of shy when they see the camera.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
how did you overcome this, and what techniques you use to teach students? So how to be friends with cameras, how to be friends with the outside world?
Well, first of all, in my classes, I give some psychological techniques, how to overcome the stress, how to work with your body, with your breath, how to work with your mind so that you can calm down a little bit. Because honestly, I am a very nervous and anxious person myself, but I managed to overcome this stress. And there are techniques and tools that I show my students and that they can use in the future. But I would say that maybe the most important advice, it's kind of very obvious, but I still need to repeat it. The more you work with something, the more you practice, the more you get used to it. So if you're shy in front of the camera, okay, just try and post more stories on your Instagram account. And that would be a great practice for working with the camera, because it's not even a camera, right? It's the smartphone that you are used to. It's something very familiar. So try and work with this first. I don't know, film some funny videos for your TikTok, do your own blog on YouTube. Start with this. And the more you practice, the more easy you will feel with the cameras, even if there are, I don't know, dozens of them in the studio, you will be absolutely okay with it just because you did it thousands of times before.
So you think that Instagram and TikTok are very good educational tools, yeah? But again, so how to come up with a story that would be good for the camera?
Well, first of all, I believe that if we're talking about your personal social media as a platform for your training, right, you should start with understanding your audience. Well, this is the basic principle, again, for any media in the world. You need to understand who you work for, what are they interested in, what would they like to hear. And then you kind of do this projection in your mind. You try to understand, okay, so they are the people that follow me, they are, I don't know, around 20 plus. They are mostly interested in this and that. They live, I don't know, in big cities. So I should tell them something that they will, that they can relate to, something that is relatable to them. Start with this. And again, social media teach you in a very natural way if you should change something about your storytelling, or maybe you shouldn't. They will give you, you know, the direction, they will guide you. So this is why I think social media is a great tool for practice. And well, today we cannot work in news production without social media anyway.
Yeah, let me do a bit of advertising. So if you want to subscribe to Varvara and how she does it, so just
Yes, please follow me on Instagram.
Yeah, you can easily find on Instagram, and this is what she does. She really is into the storytelling all the time. So that's the thing. Another thing is follow the news as they happen. So the more I talk to young people, the more I see that this skill is kind of difficult for them, because just it's very complicated for them to, it's very difficult for them to understand what is going on in the world. Any skills, any life hacks about this?
Yeah, this is a good question. And well, first, yeah, I should say that if you go into news production, you cannot switch yourself off. I mean, even if you're on vacation, you still need to follow the news, because you miss a couple of days and then you don't understand a thing of about what's going on in the world. Like, that's the deal. But again, today I think there are a lot of tools that can help you to follow this enormous amount of information. Well, my life hack is I'm subscribed to multiple channels in Telegram Messenger, and this is how I receive my news mostly. Again, sometimes if it's a serious topic, a serious issue that needs maybe a little bit more digging into it, then I dedicate time to it in my planner. Like, okay, today for an hour, I'm gonna be just digging deeper and reading more about it, because I want to understand more about this particular story or this particular issue. But you, again, it is going back to the point that I brought up earlier about curiosity. You need to be in this flow all the time. Even when you listen to some podcasts, you do it not just because you want to spend your time somehow, but because you want to get some information that might help you in your work in the future, that might help you and might give you some background on some topics that you maybe may do stories in the future, for example. So whatever information you get, starting from this point, it is the information that may be valuable for you as a specialist, right? And you know, it's an interesting personal experience. Again, right now, when I meet people, even if it's, I don't know, some kind of a party, a housewarming party at my friend's place, when I meet new people, I think immediately, okay, so this person has an interesting story. Maybe later in the future, I should do something with him as a source of information. And this guy is a very valuable source of information about this. So all the people that I meet, they are my possible potential sources.
Well, from your personal experience, were there any situations where your news background, your news judgment, your knowledge about the world really helped you on the spot? Are there any situations like this?
Maybe it's a good question. Maybe it's more about general knowledge rather than following the news, because I work as a TV host on a public affairs talk show, right? So I have 4 experts in the studio, and sometimes they would bring up some quote, or they would refer to something from, I don't know, a movie, a book, or something that happened a couple of years ago. And it is really great when you, as a TV host or as a reporter, doesn't really matter, when you can react to this immediately because you know what this person is talking about. And this is really helpful. And why is this great? Because it builds this bridge of trust between you and the person you are talking to. And immediately it also builds trust with your audience, because they see that, oh, she knows what she's talking about. This expert, this guy just brought this up, and immediately she reacted to this. She or he, well, in my case, she. So this is great. The more you know, the more it will help you in some kind of situation that maybe you couldn't even imagine. But once it happens, you know that you did a great job because, well, you did your job literally, and you followed the news, and you read about the world, and now you can talk to your source or to the person that you are interviewing on the same level. And this is really great.
What skills are you trying to develop among your students when you teach new media?
Well,
just reveal some secrets how we do it at our program.
Okay, yes. So basically, as I said, of course, we are dedicating some time to learning the tools to overcome your stress. Well, everybody faces that. This is a common problem. So even for people who work on television, who have been working on television for many years, still they are anxious about going live or recording a program. So we work with this. Secondly, of course, I show some examples of how news can be delivered through new platforms. And today we see it more and more in the world. American media do great job with this, posting their news on TikTok, for example, in the forms of challenges and trends. So we do this. Of course, I teach students how to interview people, because there are a lot of tools and life hacks for that. And no matter where you work, whether it's a YouTube or a national TV channel, well, the principles and the tools are mostly the same. Of course, we also talk about, we practice your presenting skills, because this is crucial. And I believe that this is very important, even not only for people who work on camera, but even for people who are behind the camera. So we do this, then we work with voice and speech. So there are a lot of things actually that we learn and that we talk about. And of course, I always appreciate when students do my home tasks, because I want to give them hands-on experience. I don't want them just to only listen to me, but I want them to practice.
Yeah. Again, that's a very interesting question. You have personal storytelling. You are good on Instagram. You present the program. But the big issue is that many journalists that work domestically or internationally, that does not matter, do not have skills in planning the news story, because we as journalists start running into the venue, start running to the place where the news is happening, and sometimes we don't think about what we would like to get in the end. So that's a very common disease, and that's not a Russian disease. That's an international news disease. I've seen it all over the world. So how to plan an effective news story, that's one thing, and how to plan an effective news story on Instagram, in your opinion.
Well, I will start with the second part, probably. The thing with Instagram is that it is very hard to plan something because Instagram is more about showing the events live, right? So you don't know, most likely that you will not know the end of the story because you reveal it as it's happening. So this is some kind of reality show that is going on Instagram. And I think this is happening in 80% of cases. Going back to the first part of the question, I think, it's a kind of a philosophical question for me because it's about how, it's not very different from how you live your life. It's very important to know what you want to get in the end, no matter what you do, whether you produce a news story or whether you are going, into a new relationship or whether you are getting a new job. You always need to know what you want to get in the end. But if we talk about news stories, well, this is again, me being an anxious person talking about stress. Try not to stress out. Try to dedicate the time that you have while you're rushing to the venue and dedicate this time to investing the background, trying to see maybe what your colleagues are doing and see their mistakes or the things that they did right, and that you can not copy, but develop and do even better. Try to understand quickly what you would like as a viewer would like to get in the end. Okay, so you're turning on the TV, what would you like to know about the story? This is my approach, and this is what I try to do. I always try to think from the perspective of the person who is actually watching my story right now.
All right, and another thing that we are always dealing with in the program, I'm saying this for the sake of the guys who are listening to us, you have to be prepared for the fact that the media environment is changing very rapidly. And sometimes it happens too fast that many people are not prepared for the changes. And it does not depend on the age. I'm 53, but I'm still young.
It's the state of mind. It's not the age. Yes.
Yeah. At least I think so. But how to be prepared for the changes? How? Because sometimes people might be disappointed. We learned one thing, then they come up to the real world, and this thing is not working at all. So that's the big question, and that's a big issue for me as well. So how to be up to date all the time? So
I think it's a good question for a psychologist, maybe, to live in the present and all that stuff that they teach us. But yes, if you are not ready for the constant changes and very rapid changes, as you said, well, maybe it's not a job for you then. That's what I would say, because yes, you need to understand that things, events, people, circumstances will change all the time. And I'm not sure that there is a way to teach yourself to be ready for that. It's either you are this person who is okay with that or you are not. But it also depends on, your attitude to your job. I love my job, but as I said, I'm a very anxious person. Honestly, it is hard for me when something is changing rapidly around me, but I love my job so much that I get used to those changes for the sake of my profession and of what I'm doing. Maybe it's a kind of a psychological advice. Maybe you should find a colleague who is coping with that greatly, and so that you can turn to this person for some kind of support, when you can go to this person and say, okay, I don't know what to do. I was doing this and now everything changed. The circumstances are completely different. Just talk to this person for a couple of minutes and you see that it's getting much easier for you. And now that you kind of steamed off, right? You can go back to work and do what you need to do.
Well, maybe a very provocative question, but still I will ask it. So okay. If you were international students and somebody offered you to come to Russia to study international studies, So what would you do? What would you think about? Just how would you consider this opportunity?
Well, first of all, I think that every step that you make out of your zone of comfort, and this is not just about Russia, I mean, when you go and study abroad, this is great because the experience that you get there, you will not be able to get anywhere. But if we talk specifically about Russia, I think this is a great place to be because it is right in the middle of everything. Here is Asia, here is Europe, and you're right in the middle between them. And there are just so many things happening here. So many things are happening with, how would I say it? With so many things are happening in the international field where Russia is involved. So today it is a great place to learn. It is because of our great instructors that are working in this field now, honestly. And again, you will not miss a thing because whatever issue you take, you can find it here in Russia and start working with it. So this is why I think it's a great place. And then again, stepping out of your zone of comfort, it's a different language, it's different culture, it's a different atmosphere. And while I had this challenge myself in my life, and I can say honestly, and that's a great choice to go abroad, especially when the country is different from yours, like really different from yours.
What was special for you when you were studying in Chicago, just when you changed completely your environment? And what things can you recommend for the students that might be coming to us from other cities and other countries?
Well, first of all, my advice would be don't expect anything. Just go there and face the reality, because it may be different, a little bit different from what you dreamed of or from what you visualized. So just be ready for anything and it will be great in the end. Also, my second advice would be do not spend all your time sitting at home and just studying, which is great, but also you're a journalist, you want to work in news production, go outside and discover new things, learn what's new and interesting is around you. My third advice would be do not be afraid of other people. And by others, I mean that, well, people may speak, people may have different culture that is different from yours. You may not speak the same language. It's not the problem. Just again, go outside, meet new people, and you will see that they are much more friendly than maybe you expect. And again, this will be a great discovery. So yeah, I think just be curious. That's my main advice for this profession and for studying abroad, especially in Russia.
Yeah, well, any more life hacks from the teacher who knows youth environment and so on and so forth, how to study and how to behave when studying news, international news, when studying media?
I think this is, I was thinking about this, and I think that one of the most important life hacks, it's not even a life hack, again, it's more of an advice. Do not miss your deadlines. And deadlines are everything in journalism, and it is also a very important part of your education process, especially when you're studying to be a journalist, right, or a person who is working in news production. So do not miss your deadlines. It will make your life easier. It will make the life of your instructor, teacher also easier, and it will make your future career also easier and smoother for you if you learn it right at the beginning. So deadlines are everything. And also do not be afraid to ask questions. I think many people unfortunately have this problem. Sometimes they think that if they ask a question, people will think about them that they are stupid or that they don't know anything. That is not true. The more you ask, the more help you can get, the more maybe you'll get some new ideas from your instructor or from your colleague that you never thought about before. Maybe you will learn some new ways to do the task that you are given. So just do not hesitate. Do not be afraid to ask questions. I'm always there to answer my students' questions. So just reach out to me.
Yeah, and the last question, maybe the very last one to you, because, well, when I give lectures on the media, there is always someone who asks something like really ridiculous, really, well, hilarious, really, really, well, really interesting. Well, but they often ask me, well, what do you think? Will the television die? Will the newspapers die? Just is it really worth paying attention to them? That's the question I have all the time when I talk about the media. So, what do you think about this?
I also get this question, and I will say this: the television will not die, definitely, guys, calm down. Maybe it will just transform, and this is actually what we are seeing happening right now. It will just find new formats of reaching the audience, but it will not go anywhere. And there's a lot of data proving this point, that television is just finding new formats. The audience isn't going anywhere still. So now this is our challenge and our task to find the formats and find the ways to reach out to our audience so that they can still get valuable and valuable information of good quality, valuable stories. So this is our task, to find the way to stay connected, but don't worry, television will be there for a long time. That's my personal belief and opinion, but it is proved by a lot of data and statistics.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Have you got any? If you have any questions to Varvara, please write the questions here.
Yeah, you can type them in the chat, and I will be more than happy to answer them. Yeah. Yes, by the way, just wanted to add a little bit that this is one of the things that maybe I will start my program with this year. Our first big discussion with students will be about television, new formats, and why it will not die. So if you guys come to our program, you will see what I have to say about it and all the data that I have on it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just if there are no questions, you can send them later to this chat, and we'll get in touch with you with answers anyway. So just for the admission purposes, just let me tell you that you have the link to the page of the program, and there soon you will have more information regarding the teachers, regarding the terms of admission. Once again, the program has two conditions that you should comply with. Number one, you should have an excellent command of English. That's one thing. And the second one is that the program is organized, is working on a paid-for basis. So that's a little bit like something like 5,005. Yeah, so it's 400,000 rubles a year. Yeah, so if you divide it by 75, you would get just a figure on how the program costs in the currency. So we'll have all this information, and some of the people will get the discount, especially those who showed great command of their motivation during the preliminary interview. So this is something that we are also organizing. The discounts, if you happen to be an HSC student, you will get a 25% discount anyway. So that's the way the program operates. And something which is very important, I do hope that everything will stay in the same way as planned, because during the final term, a High School of Economics is operating on the auditorium basis. So of course, there are some online studies, but now we are in the campus. So we are coming out. So yeah, and that's something I'd hope will stay. Yeah, but nevertheless, you know that COVID is very unpredictable. So be prepared for everything. But still, if you want to ask me some questions or somewhere later on. This is my address that you can see in the chat right now. So feel free to ask me as many questions as you can. And yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, I know that during these Zoom sessions, people are kind of shy to ask questions. That's normal. But if there are any, please feel free to contact us. And yeah. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I know you're still
Thank
at
you
work.
very much.
Yeah,
yes, I'm at work. It's Saturday and I'm at work. This is what it is about, guys. This is working in news production.
Yeah, so that's 24/7, but that's always fun. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you, Vladimir. Thank you, everybody, and we'll call it today. And next will be other speakers. So yeah, stay in touch and be healthy. That's the most important thing. Okay. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.